And lo and behold, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Very clear. That's the Great Commission, presumably given to us as well, because we aren't at the end of the age yet. So anybody still living prior to the end of the age is commissioned to do his part in the preaching of the gospel based on that. To observe all that I commanded you. That's the command. You don't have an option. I was struck the other day reading where Paul said of himself, woe to me if I don't preach the gospel. What? That means curses on me if I don't preach the gospel. Paul took that very seriously. And I take it that we must also have our part in the preaching of the gospel until the end of the age. The harvest is the end of the age, Jesus had said. The end of the age is the future single parousia, post-great tribulation, visible one return of Jesus. I'm compelled to preach the gospel. In your margin, you want to write Luke 4:43. Might that be his purpose? You'd think that any book discussing the purpose of the church or Jesus or God would use that verse. They don't use it because they don't know about it. Baptizing into the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. That's not a Trinitarian verse at all, because we do believe in the name of the Father. That's everything he stands for. And it's the same as the name of the Son, everything he stands for, and the Holy Spirit. Not a Trinitarian verse. Whoever said that's a Trinity didn't say they were all God. It's in all the best manuscripts, and so I'm not going to be defensive and say it shouldn't be there, because when Eusebius quotes it, sometimes he quotes it in this form, sometimes he doesn't. That's not an argument for anything. You mean you were baptized into me, Paul? So you could be baptized into Paul, would mean believing everything that Paul taught. What the name of the Holy Spirit? But that would certainly then be the Spirit of God extended from God or Jesus indistinguishably. Everything that contains. We have the mind of Christ. Paul quotes in 1 Corinthians 2:16, quoting the Hebrew, which says we have the Spirit of Christ, the Spirit of God. Same thing, the Spirit and the mind of the Holy Spirit. That's not a problem. So I would advise that you just don't fuss about that verse and be defensive. It's not a Trinitarian verse. We know there was no Trinity even in 325 AD, where they had not decided on what the Holy Spirit was, even then. 17:2 of John says, Jesus speaking, even as you, Father, gave him, he's talking of himself here in a sort of creedal form, me, he means, gave me authority over every human being. It's a lot of human beings. So you better submit, I think the point would be, to Jesus, because he has authority that is rulership over every single human being that ever stepped into life. And that's a lot of people, I don't know. So if you're the head man of the human race, that gets my attention. He has authority over every one of us.